Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Corinne.
And today we are going to do some fun things.
We're out with the St. George Jeepers from southern Utah visiting Moab. And we're going to be going out on the trail for Shafer Trail, which is in Canyonlands National Park.
Should be a lot of fun. We got perfect weather for it and a great group of folks.
And this is a relatively easy trail. I think on Onyx Off-Road it's rated a 3, so should be a nice simple day.
Yep, and it should be a really simple day. Corinne's going to do a lot of the driving.
We have stopped at an air-down location with a pit toilet, so everyone can get ready for the trail and get a little relief from their morning beverages. We've got probably about 20 vehicles going on the trail with us today, and it looks like it's going to be a wonderful day. Very sunny, and the temperature is supposed to get up to the low 70s, which is really nice for this time of year.
Well, Corinne and I are heading out on another trail ride today with our St. George group. And we are heading for Potash Mine, Shafer Trail.
Yes.
It's going to be a very easy day. And we're not expecting any of the really tough obstacles that we found on Elephant Hill. This is more going to be about a pretty drive and some pretty country. So Corinne's driving this morning, and she says she's going to make me drive when it gets to the difficult parts, but there's no difficult parts on this trail, so that means I'm going to be riding shotgun all day. And it's a very dusty trail. That's probably the most difficult part of it. It's probably why it's rated a 2 or a 3, is that you just can't see the vehicle in front of you. Well, and I just whacked the glass with this. Corinne usually does this and is a lot better at this than I am. But it's going to be pretty. This is one of the water reserve ponds along here, probably used by the Potash Company. So the roads are quite wet over here, and as a result there's a lot of kind of little bumps and that might not be here if it hadn't been for the fact that it rained a couple weeks ago and people were driving on the wet road. Track's getting a little bit more bumpy, so we work our way through these boulders. As we're heading up, we're starting to gain some elevation as well. So Corinne has shifted into 4-wheel drive high. It's probably all we'll need today. Most of these rocks are pretty good traction, and we're not going to be in some of the elevation that we're going to have. We're not going to have some of the elevation changes that we had yesterday, or big rocks. So we have a little bighorn sheep here, wondering why the hell we're going through here. Those are the potash ponds over there. And I'm told they're a very bright blue in color. Almost turquoise, Corinne says. So I don't know what you're seeing since I'm just holding this up.
There's a nice reflection of the bluffs in the water.
You might not be able to tell, but up on that bluff on the right, there's actually a helicopter that's landed up there. We don't know why, but it gives you a sort of an idea of the scale of the area.
Trail extra credit ride.
So we are going around
Copy that message.
a very deep,
Please repeat.
boggy, muddy boggy around here. And it looks like they've got a little road.
They're having to do a bypass on the main road because of the mud. So this is a new obstacle for the trail. Copy that. Bypassing mud. It's a new obstacle on the trail.
Should I have blockers on for this?
Nope.
4 high is good.
That we
Yep.
passed that, and we're
So you're going to have to go up this little rock here. Use that on your passenger's wheels. You're going to have to keep yourself.
Heels rolling.
Okay, you're going to make it hard to the drivers. Hard to driver. Keep going. Okay, good. You're good.
Anybody having any problems, holler.
I can't see.
You're good.
Pretty
Go straight,
straightforward.
straight.
Just take your time.
Straight. Okay, you're going to bang down here. You want to go that way a little bit to a little driver. Go more driver. Oh, stay driver a little bit. Oh, you're going to drop into the mud bog here potentially. Oh, no, you got us. No, we're done. We're done. Just put it in park.
Park?
Yep. Guys, we fell into the ditch here. We couldn't make it around in the Gladiator. We're probably going to need a tow.
Really? Can I try backing up?
No.
Okay, we'll head back. Mark, you want to go back with me?
No, you're let me get in.
I'll just walk back.
So the little mistake that Corinne made was to not turn far enough to driver so that she could bring her back end around this hole that was beside us. It was quite deep and full of mud. And when we finally, when I finally got a chance to look at it, I noticed that we were sitting on our rock sliders and that our back passenger wheel was just hanging over the little mud pond. What I should have done was let Corinne, who was very willing to try, to back herself out, and I didn't do that. Instead, when I first looked at it, I thought for sure we were going to need to get towed out. And then I tried to back it out, and it turns out to be very, very simple. All I ended up having to do was put our rear locker on to give more power to the driver wheel, or so the driver wheel wouldn't spin, and or because the passenger wheel was going to spin, but the back driver wheel would also be able to take power. And quite frankly, it turned out to be quite easy to back out. What I should have done was actually had Corinne back the car out. I hurt her confidence in herself by doing this myself and not letting her attempt it. And if she hadn't gotten out, then I would have helped and driven it out. I have a good deal more experience than her, but I should have allowed her to try it. And it's a mistake I won't make in the future. If she gets herself stuck, she's going to have to get herself unstuck. The other thing was being with a big group, there was lots of help. So there was no reason to worry about not getting out. So those vehicles following the Gladiator, make sure you turn wide around that corner so you don't slide into
the driver's side.
Yeah, you got to go wide to the driver's side so you don't slide into the hole there. I must say the folks from the St. George Jeepers are a great group of men and women. They all wanted to make sure that we hadn't damaged the car, and they were more than willing to help pull us out if we needed that. And in general, it's been wonderful jeeping with them. And Corinne and I really enjoy both the company and having so many experienced folks along the trip. And here's the view from just behind us. We're all parked there. There's the beautiful skyline we have here. Starting to work our way up a little bit more in elevation around these ponds. Here are the potash ponds from a higher viewpoint. See them all the way along there. I'm sticking my camera lens through the fence so you can see things, so I can't move around very much. We had some pretty heavy rains out here a couple weeks ago, and I suspect the ponds overflowed. So we're still going through BLM land here, which is really quite pretty. We're starting to get a little bit more elevation as we start working our way up. And then according to Corinne, we end up going from BLM land into state trust land, and before we get into the national park. So we're getting close, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, if you've watched any of the movies from the 90s, you might be familiar with Thelma and Louise, a movie I believe with Susan Sarandon, Brad Pitt. This is known as Thelma and Louise Point, where they show the car going over the canyon, and down below is the Colorado River. It's a little shallow in places down there. I could see some mud flats. And we are just outside of Canyonlands National Park in some BLM lands. Great views down the river. Well, we organized 20 or 17 vehicles here into a nice row with the Canyonlands scenery in the background. There we go. It is a Jeep club, but apparently we're non-discriminating. We got a Toyota Tacoma truck and a Lexus.
There's people up there, and there's a. Yeah, I think that they're looking down on us.
It's got one of those, it's supposed to be able to see obstacles.
It's a Chevy truck, Colorado. Our group put some chalk painting on the windows so we'd have everybody's name. Here's one of our Bronco members. And the vast majority out here are Rubicons. Up there on the hillside, the very tall rock, is Dead Horse Point State Park. The views there are awesome for a sunset shot. Shawn and I were up there a few days ago. Had a little bit of cloud, not spectacular color, but it was a nice location. Overview of the Colorado River at Goosenecks. We've stopped for a little view of the Colorado River here in the Shafer Trail area. And we are at the Gooseneck, where the river comes around a big bend. And this is part of the river that we see from up in Dead Horse Point State Park as it curves this area. And we get a good view of this trail from up in the park. It's very prominent in our photos. Shortly after passing the sign that indicates you're entering Canyonlands National Park, you come to a parking area with a pit toilet, so we're doing a quick stop with all the Jeeps while everybody gets a little relief before we continue on. This is really much more similar to my expectation when I hear a name like Canyonlands. I anticipate being down here amongst these back canyons and driving through these stunning rock formations.
So after our brief pit stop, we're all heading back out on the trail, and as you can see, it's quite a long procession. A few days before we arrived in Moab to run these trails, there had been some very, very heavy rains. And we had noticed along the trail that there are still some pretty muddy spots and some areas where the water was still actually coming down the washes a little bit, which made the trail a little muddy in places.
So we're starting to head for the Shafer Trail. I was teasing Corinne that it's not so bad until you get to that big flat wall here right on the right-hand side, and then it's pretty much 100 degrees straight up, you know.
If you want to...
So we are starting to go up the switchbacks that take us literally up this mountain here. Most of it is going to be a road hanging on the edge of the mountain. So really the issue here is spicy. Yeah, spicy. It's going to get a little spicy. But it's not a very difficult road, as I understand it. We're about to find out.
So the main challenge going up the Shafer Trail here is that you're on a shelf road. It's kind of an interesting shelf road because you can see there's a big ditch on my right-hand side as well as the big drop-off on the left-hand side. So there's really nowhere to go other than up the road, and if you're meeting another vehicle coming down, until you get up a little ways, there's really nowhere to pass. Once you get a little higher on the road actually gets a little wider, and there are some places to pass. And here's a good example where the road is widened out. This would be very easy to pass oncoming vehicles through this little section here. And these are fairly frequent on the road. The voices you're hearing in the background are coming over our GRMS radio, and the lead Jeep is radioing back to the rest of us what they're encountering so we know what to expect.
So we got 3 cars ahead of us coming down, so they need to find a place to pull over. Oh, there's 5 cars now. So we'll just keep moving ahead, and they look like they're pulling over, so we're good.
Copy that. 5 oncoming vehicles. It looks like they're pulling over for us.
So the last voice that you heard is the very end of the Jeep procession. We call him the tail gunner, and he's acknowledging to the front Jeep that he's heard what is coming at us, and he'll tell the front Jeep when he passes whatever particular challenge that the front Jeep has identified. And although when we're in a flat road and we're zipping along, you'll often hear folks using the radios to provide additional information, kind of like a little tour. But once we hit a obstacle or we're on a shelf road, you'll notice also that the radio gets quite quiet as we're carefully listening to what's coming. So we're about a third of the way up the wall at this point on the road. And as you can see, the road is in very, very good shape, and it's really quite wide. There really is not a great deal of difficulty going up this road. Although, can you imagine when it was originally built, it was a single path that they used to lead the cattle from the top grazing area down into the canyon for the wintertime. Now that would have been scary. The fun bit is always when you come across traffic that are coming downhill. The general rule is that the traffic coming down has to give way to the traffic coming up. But what we find on a lot of these roads is that you come across some folks that are very, very inexperienced and quite frankly scared out of their minds to be over on the edge. And it can often be quite difficult to get them to pull over enough so that the other vehicles can get by. And in some cases, there just isn't enough room, and what you end up doing is kind of this interesting little jockeying routine that you can see me doing here going around the Raptor. The guy in the Raptor is actually quite experienced, and he was getting over as far as he could. But you'll see me here kind of roll up the side as I try to get out of his way. So the other driver in the Raptor and myself are currently talking about how we're going to get around each other. And you'll see him look over his shoulder to check his back end. And I am explaining that I'm going to do one thing and he's going to do another, and the two of us are going to do a little dance. I often put my window down and we'll talk to the driver that's coming downhill. I'm doing this primarily to figure out whether they're going to panic or they're pretty knowledgeable and experienced, and just how comfortable they are sort of coming by the vehicles. This tells me a lot, and it also tells me a lot about what I'm going to do in case things get a bit gnarly.
There's the mountain view from where we are, and we're about 3/4 of the way up.
Well, other than that little traffic jam, it was a pretty straightforward trip coming up the hill. Everybody was pretty calm and relaxed, and once we figured out how to jockey around everybody, it was fairly easy to get up the hill.
Just a quick note on how this road came about. Rancher Shafer was the name of the rancher. Built this road to run his cattle from the top grazing land to bring them down to the bottom during winter grazing. So he and I don't know, like others, made this road, I think it was a lot thinner way back when. But it was to run cattle from the upper cliffs here down to greener pasture land.
If you watch cows out on the wild range, they're pretty good at following head to tail, so I think they'd be quite good at doing the single file route.
Okay, we're going to pull over here for a photo op, and then we're going to head up for our lunch spot. So, okay, we're going to make a right here into this parking lot, find a place, and you want to take your food out near the ledge to have a view, or sit near your car.
Copy that. Right-hand turn for the lunch spot.
Down there's the trail we were on, and we worked our way up the Shafer switchbacks to come up to a higher level here, almost on the mesa. Very sunny up here, and our group is taking a photo op. Well, our group stopped today for a lunch break and lined up the Jeeps, and some of them set up a little conversation circle here while they're having their meal. Others went out to the rim that was over behind me to enjoy the view back beyond the juniper trees there. After our lunch break, we continued towards Dead Horse Point State Park and drove down the road a bit to Pucker Pass Road, and it is very washboard, quite wide, so there's lots of room for vehicles to pass, but it is dusty and bouncy.
So once we entered the canyon, going down the Parker Pass Road, it was in pretty rough shape in places and had a number of very sharp U-turn type turns coming down. Nothing which was terribly bothersome. Just, in fact, the road would have been very straightforward if it hadn't been washed out in some places due to the rain that we had a few weeks ago. Anyway, it was pretty straightforward, and we're starting to head down. There's really only one tough spot on this road as you're going down. So this road has a couple of very narrow little canyons that you drive through. It's really quite pretty, and again, it's not terribly difficult, but the canyons kind of give it a closed-in feel. So we come up to this section here where we've got the rock across the road. The road goes underneath that rock, and when you're viewing it from up the road a little bit, it looks very scary. But as it turns out, it's a pretty straightforward piece to get underneath, and I had lots of clearance, so didn't have to worry about my Harker camper getting stuck under this one. So we're coming back now. We're just about out of the canyon, and this is always the most dangerous part for me because I'm almost done and I stop concentrating on what I'm doing, which is potentially really bad because there's usually a zinger right at the end. It's not really going to be that bad if you're paying attention, but if you're not paying attention, it really bangs you. So this is, as I say, this is the critical moment for me, or critical few moments for me, when we're almost finished the canyon, almost finished the run, and then we do something stupid, or at least I do something stupid. So the little whoops here, which is when I stop paying attention and start driving a little too fast, that would have been normally the one that would have bit my butt. Well, we've come to the end of the trail, and it's time to air up the tires and head back to the hotels.
That looks like a great spot right there. Watch the rock. So we're down off the top of the trail, back to the highway. Green, what did you think of the trails today?
Today was very enjoyable, good scenery, good company, lots of breaks to stop and take some photos, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was a really, really fun day. The trails were really straightforward. Just a second, let me pull that out of our way. The trails were very straightforward. Really any sort of moderate-sized vehicle with just a little tiny bit of a lift can do the trails quite easily. You just got to watch for the bicycles. A bicycle just drove by.
Yeah, you don't want to hit those.
You don't want to hit the bicycles. And the scenery is spectacular. I could do this trail a dozen times and just really enjoy it. Well, we sure hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up.
And if you'd like to see more of our videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And if you want, you can hit the notification bell and get notified when new videos are posted.
And if you have any questions about the trail or the time of year we've been here or anything else, please don't hesitate to put it in the comment section down below. We respond to all of them.
We love hearing from you.
And we love hearing from you. And until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.